Makabe Masamune, the protagonist of this anime, was once an ugly, disgusting, loser chubby little kid. However, after years of dedicated training, he manages to lose weight and becomes a hot guy. His motivation behind this transformation stemmed from a desire for revenge against a girl who had taunted him as pig's foot during his childhood. After his morning shower, Masamune stands in front of the mirror, striking poses and flexing his muscles, thinking he is an absolute Chad. However, his sister, Chinatsu, finds this habit distasteful. Masamune complains once again about her entering his room without permission, but she dismisses his concerns, pointing out their sibling relationship. Their mother, Kinu, then calls them for breakfast. She has prepared a substantial meal filled with high-calorie foods, which Masamune finds unappealing. Having a good physique has its own disadvantages. Consequently, he chooses to head to school without eating. At school, he noticed some girls playing tennis and paused to observe them for a moment, appreciating their skill. Just as he was about to slip away unnoticed, fate had other plans. A trio of girls, fuming with annoyance, approached the scene. But fortunately for Masamune, their complaints were directed at another boy who was taking pictures with his phone. Masamune tried to leave, but one of the girls recognized him, reminding the others that he had transferred to their school just a week ago. The other girls gathered around him, having heard about his perfect entrance exam score, and invited him to practice with them. However, Masamune politely declined, complimenting them on their dedication to practice. They found Masamune attractive, causing the girls to blush and become excited about his cool demeanor. Students had gathered in front of the school as Shiju planned to confess to the cruel princess. To everyone's surprise, the cruel princess emerged dramatically on the school rooftop, armed with a microphone and an arsenal of embarrassing facts about poor Shigeo. She gleefully revealed that her servant had conducted a Sherlock-level investigation on him, uncovering his latest purchase, the new volume of OG's, Ryubi Jintoku, a gender-swapped romance of the Three Kingdoms. Apparently, his literary tastes were as questionable as his romantic endeavors. But that wasn't all. The cruel princess had stumbled upon Shiju's secret life as a fanfic writer, crafting elaborate stories featuring a character suspiciously similar to himself. And as if that wasn't enough, she couldn't resist poking fun at the lone hair bravely sprouting from a mole on his chest, affectionately naming him Molio in a moment of merciless wit. During a break between classes, Masamune had dozed off only to wake up gripped by a past trauma. Taya, the class representative, expressed her relief at seeing him adjust to the new school. Soon after, Kojiro arrived with some food which Masamune hesitated to refuse. However, upon noticing the calorie content of the bread, he acknowledged the need for extra crunches later. Kojiro praised Masamune's impressive qualities, excellent grades, athletic prowess, and good looks. Kojiro thought there was only one person equally remarkable, but before he could mention who, he was interrupted by the grand entrance of none other than the infamous cruel princess herself, Aki Adagaki. Searching for Akio Tanabe, she questioned Masamune about Akio's whereabouts, but Akio quickly appeared from the back. Aki then read a confession letter from Akio, complimenting her for her dignity in PE class. Aki playfully called him Pudding Prince and tore up his confession letter. After her departure, Tai and Kojiro explained Aki's reputation as the cruel princess, a girl who disliked boys and gave quirky nicknames to those who approached her. Intriguingly, Masamune recognized her immediately. Continuously observing Aki, Masamune was surprised by the number of girls following her. Kojiro explained that they admired her straightforward nature. Aki was always accompanied by Yoshino Koiwe. Masamune inquired about Aki's preferences, but Kojiro had limited information, only knowing that she preferred eating lunch alone. During lunchtime, Masamune attempted to follow Aki to discover her solitary eating spot but lost track of her. He then followed Yoshino, who led him to an unexpected destination, a gym storage room where Aki was waiting. Yoshino apologized for having only 2 cutlet sandwiches, but Aki complained that she could have chosen something else. Masamune felt relieved to find Aki, but was startled when a spider descended, causing him to accidentally enter the storage room. He apologized, explaining he had seen Yoshino approaching and became curious about their conversation. Inside, Masamune noticed Aki holding a large lunchbox filled with high-calorie dishes alongside several empty lunchboxes. Aki's stomach growled, and she revealed her tendency to hypoglycemia, requiring extra sugar intake. Normal lunches didn't suffice for her, prompting her to eat more. As Masamune decided to leave, Aki warned him not to disclose what he had seen, threatening him with regret if he did. Despite Aki's continuous unkind behavior, Masamune persevered, making genuine efforts to spend more time with her. During a sports class, Kojiro mentioned hearing about Masamune getting along with Aki, sparking speculation among others about the possibility of Aki falling for someone at last. After school, feeling famished, Yoshino mentioned her hunger to Aki, who ordered her to quickly fetch some food. While Yoshino was away, Akio appeared and grabbed Aki's hair, furious over her rejection of him while being fine with Masamune. Brandishing scissors, he threatened to cut Aki's hair. Masamune intervened just in time, anticipating such a situation due to Aki's intimidating nature. Despite his bleeding hand, Masamune managed to scare off Akio, who fled in fear. In pain, Masamune concealed it, trying to maintain a composed facade. He believed that Aki would no longer mistreat him, having saved her and discovered her secret. Masamune recalled his past as an overweight wealthy child who faced frequent bullying. Aki had once rescued him but later rejected him, calling him pig's foot. This rejection fueled Masamune's desire for revenge. His plan was to make Aki fall for him and then reveal his true identity before breaking up with her. The following day, Masamune carried on as usual and greeted Akio, who apologized for the previous day's incident. Masamune reassured him, saying it was fine. As he opened his locker, a love letter fell out. Anxious, he opened it, only to find the words pig's foot, leaving him nervous and wondering if his secret had been discovered already. Masamune found himself pondering the mysterious sender of the letter. He briefly considered Aki but dismissed the idea, thinking she would have turned it into a public spectacle to embarrass him. Fear gripped him, worrying that if his past appearance came to light, society would reject him entirely. Furthermore, the revelation of his true identity to Aki would shatter his carefully crafted revenge plan. During the lunch break, Masamune observed the famous school shop rush, where students sprinted to buy food. He noticed Yoshino struggling in the chaotic queue, attempting to purchase food for Aki. When she got pushed aside, Masamune checked on her and she requested him to buy the food on her behalf. Agreeing, he bravely maneuvered through the crowd, successfully purchasing the items. Yoshino was astonished that he managed to secure everything, especially considering his usual position at the back of the line, where some items were often sold out. Masamune surmised that the food was intended for Aki and inquired if he could join them. Yoshino tried to slip away, but Masamune stopped her, promising to explain the situation to Aki so that Yoshino wouldn't get into trouble. As they headed towards Aki, Masamune couldn't help but see Yoshino as a modern-day Cinderella mistreated by her wicked stepmother. Yoshino brought the food to Aki, who complained about her slowness. Aki started eating but soon began choking. Panicked, Yoshino hurried out and Masamune entered, concerned about Aki's well-being. Aki realized Yoshino had left and Masamune explained she had gone to buy tea. Masamune had checked on her out of genuine concern. Aki inquired about his injured hand, but despite the pain, Masamune insisted it was fine. Their conversation seemed normal, convincing Masamune that Aki wasn't the one who had sent the letter. Yoshino returned. Yoshino then handed drinks to both Aki and Masamune. Aki noted Yoshino's respectfulness, although she wished Yoshino had a stronger backbone. Masamune expressed his desire for Aki to rely on him more than on Yoshino before excusing himself. Outside, he was confident Aki was blushing, unable to ignore someone who had saved her and said something so heartfelt. To prepare himself for winning Aki's heart, Masamune had been reading his sister's shoujo manga. Meanwhile, Aki did indeed blush, a reaction noticed by Yoshino. Heading home, Masamune strategizes his next move, thinking he should ask Aki for her email address. However, he falls into a trap and Yoshino appears, addressing him as Pig's Foot. Surprised that she knows his nickname, he doesn't recall her being a girl bully. It dawns on him that there was another girl in Aki's mansion. Feeling his plan has failed, he confesses to Yoshino that he doesn't regret trying to make Aki understand how it feels. Surprisingly, Yoshino is supportive and offers to help him. The following day, Masamune decides to persist with his plan. He assists Ta with her belongings and decides to practice by asking for her email address. Just as he's about to inquire, he realizes he has never asked anyone for their contact information before and has no contacts himself. Nervous, he dashes back to the classroom. There, he questions Kojiro if it's true that sharing email addresses reveals the other person's contacts, but Kojiro assures him that's not the case. Relieved, Masamune relaxes, realizing his lack of friends won't be exposed. The school beautification committee had lost a member, and a student asked Ta to take the vacant position. However, Ta was swamped with other responsibilities and couldn't spare the time. Masamune overheard this and, aware that Aki was part of the committee, volunteered to fill the position on her behalf. He joined the committee and actively participated in the cleaning tasks, although Aki continued to ignore him. Ta apologized for burdening Masamune, but he assured her it was all right. Ta observed that Masamune was different, someone who helped others without expecting recognition. She then extended an invitation for the two of them to watch a movie together. Masamune, realizing it was a date, felt excited, but he remembered his objective and declined. Ta promptly apologized for her sudden request and left. Feeling a surge of popularity, Masamune wondered about his newfound status but was taken aback to find Aki standing there. She explained she was there to get a new bucket. Aki guessed that Ta wasn't part of the committee and commented on Masamune's apparent popularity. Masamune wondered if Aki was jealous, but he stated that he didn't care if a girl asked him out unless he had feelings for her. Aki then inquired who he wanted to ask him out, to which he mentioned Aki's name, expressing his willingness to go out with her. Aki remained silent for a moment before thanking him. Encouraged by the positive turn, Masamune asked for her email address. Aki agreed but mentioned her phone was being repaired and promised to share it the next time they were on duty together. The next time they were on duty, Masamune waited eagerly for Aki, but she didn't show up. Instead, he found a letter instructing him to check the teacher's desk. Inside, there were origami figures and further instructions. Masamune followed the clues, wandering around the school, only to end up back in the same room, where another note directed him to look out the window. There he saw Aki holding a sign that read, "Decline," sparking frustration in Masamune. Yoshino appeared, remarking on his pitiful state. She revealed that she was there to fulfill Aki's responsibilities. Yoshino criticized Masamune's naivety and suggested that if he left things to her, she could obtain Aki's contact information for him. She took Masamune's phone, added her own contact, and handed it back. Tai informed the class that if even one person failed the proficiency test, they'd all have to attend supplementary classes. Ta believed it would be easy for Masamune, but he countered that Kojiro wasn't concerned either, implying it would be a breeze for him too. Kojiro, carefree as ever, admitted he had single-digit scores in all subjects so far, but was aiming for double digits this time. Masamune was shocked to learn Kojiro's academic struggles. Tae, fearing Kojiro would fail and lose more weight during the supplementary classes, found the prospect oddly exciting due to his cuteness, even if he cross-dressed. Kojiro, however, wasn't keen on attending the extra classes. Masamune suggested they start studying together. Preparing books for their study session, Masamune wanted to assess Kojiro's knowledge. As he set up, he overheard Aki and Yoshino discussing their similar situation. Aki was helping Yoshino study. Aki was surprised that Masamune could teach someone and seemed confident despite falling for a simple trick earlier. Masamune proposed a bet, Masamune and Kojiro against Aki and Yoshino. If Masamune's team won, Aki would have to go on a date with him. If Aki's team won, she could give him any nickname she wanted and he would wear it on his back at school until graduation. Aki found this insufficient and added that if she won, Masamune would have to buy her lunch for as long as she desired. Masamune agreed, hoping Yoshino had indeed told him the truth, making it a 3 versus 1 situation in their favor. At Aki's home, Yoshino questioned if Aki should be studying too, but Aki confidently dismissed any concerns, believing she wouldn't lose. Yoshino then dropped a bombshell. She had heard that Masamune had achieved a perfect score on the transfer exam. Aki was surprised, admitting she had agreed to the bet because she initially thought he was just a conceited narcissist. Yoshino assured Aki of her support but handed her a dating guidebook just in case. Aki blushed at the book but insisted that Yoshino should focus on her studies instead. Masamune felt a mix of nerves and excitement about calling Yoshino to discuss the bet, as he had never called a girl before. Just as he contemplated making the call, Yoshino called him, momentarily startling him before he answered. Masamune hoped she might help him with the bet, but Yoshino declined, stating she couldn't assist in this situation. During the practice test, Kojiro scored 9 points and apologized to Masamune. He vowed that if it came down to it, he would also make Aki give him a nickname and wear it alongside Masamune. Aki had arrived and started quizzing Masamune, but he answered all her questions correctly. Masamune continued studying with Kojiro. On the day before the test, he surprised everyone by dedicating time to studying instead of his usual training routine. His mother, excited by his sudden diligence, prepared him a themed lunch for the next day. Even his sister, Chizetsu, caught the enthusiasm and requested a themed lunch for herself as well. The next day, before the exam, Masamune went to buy Kojiro a drink. He saw Yoshino buying one too, and she apologized, but Masamune assured her it was fine, mentioning the extensive studying he had done with Kojiro, feeling confident about the exam. Yoshino handed him the drink she had bought, wished him good luck, and then hurried away, expressing that it didn't matter anymore. Later, during a math test, Masamune found the questions surprisingly easy. However, after drinking the coffee Yoshino gave him, his stomach started to ache, and he began to suspect she might have added a laxative. Feeling angry, he vowed not to forgive them. After the exam, he went to Aki's classroom but was informed she was absent due to a fever. Yoshino confirmed this, making Masamune realize they had won before the competition even began. He wondered why Yoshino had still given him laxatives. Later, he received a message from Chizetsu, asking if he had eaten their mother's lunch, as the eggs were bad and the omelet was sour, explaining his stomachache. Consequently, Masamune ended up in supplementary classes, and to his surprise, Aki was there too, making him feel like the situation was somewhat akin to a date. Masamune believed they had reached a draw, but Yoshino informed him that the date would still happen on Sunday, meeting at the station. When he arrived, he found Aki waiting, dressed in a magical girl cosplay. An admirer approached her, praising her costume, and wanted to take a picture. Feeling uncomfortable, Aki sought refuge behind Masamune. After the admirer left, Aki decided to give him the nickname Acidic Cleanser and Rag, shortening it to Acid Rag. Eager to move forward, she urged them to start the date, while Masamune couldn't help but ask why she was dressed that way. Aki teased him for not knowing the dress code and explained that wearing a costume on the first date was essential to break the ice. At a shopping center, Masamune managed to call Yoshino, who explained that she followed all of Aki's orders. When Aki heard something from Yoshino, she had no reason not to believe it, which was why he had to trust Yoshino's decisions. Masamune returned, apologizing about the misunderstanding regarding the dress code, but also realizing that Aki did see their outing as a date. However, Aki dismissed it, claiming it was because Masamune's mental fortitude was weak. She recounted his breakdown after failing the test, his inability to eat, and his emotional breakdown in the nurse's office, even revealing that he had razors ready to harm himself. Yoshino had informed her of these events, and since they had taken supplementary classes together, Aki felt obligated to spend the day with him to save him from his despair. They proceeded to watch a movie with Aki having bought all the tickets. The film was a horror movie which frightened Aki since she had no idea what the movie was about. Yoshino had planned everything for her. After the movie, they went to eat, and Aki barely touched her food, pushing the plate towards Masamune to make it appear as if he had eaten it. Masamune wondered if she had always eaten so little, and Aki revealed that her eating habits changed after something terrible happened in her past. A young girl questioned Aki about her unusual attire, prompting Aki to begin explaining the dating ritual. However, Masamune grabbed her hand and they quickly left before she could finish her explanation to the girl. Outside, Masamune told Aki that her behavior wasn't normal, and upon realizing this, Aki decided to buy new clothes. On their way home, Masamune shared the events of the day with Yoshino, expressing his annoyance at Aki's smug attitude. In response, Yoshino explained that she was orchestrating all of this for Aki's sake. She believed that Aki needed to reflect on herself, and if Masamune eventually ended the relationship, it might humble her a bit, benefiting both Yoshino and Aki. While Masamune understood Yoshino's reasoning, expressing his eagerness to see more of her schemes, even addressed her as master. Unbeknownst to them, Yoshino's sister observed their conversation and was surprised that Yoshino was interacting with someone other than Aki. Curious, she inquired if something enjoyable had occurred, and Yoshino confirmed that she was indeed having fun. After an exhaustive night spent studying shoujo manga, Makabe felt confident about his ability to make Adagaki fall for him. During supplementary classes, he attempted to use some of the lines he had picked up. Despite his efforts, Aki remained unimpressed. Once supplementary classes ended, Aki found herself caught in the rain. Just as she was about to call Yoshino for an umbrella, Makabe offered her his and quickly departed. Later that night, Makabe met Yoshino at a playground, where she informed him that Adagaki found his attempts seriously creepy. Much to his disappointment, Yoshino advised him to change his approach and suggested he act coldly towards Aki the next day. Following Yoshino's advice, he ignored Aki for several days. He refrained from speaking to her and during supplementary class, deliberately chose a seat far away from her. After a while, Aki confronted him in the hallway, questioning why he was ignoring her. In response, he confessed that he was doing it to provoke a reaction because he liked her. This prompted Aki to ask why he liked her and what he found appealing about her. Caught off guard and unprepared, Makabe panicked and blurted out everything before fleeing to seek help from Yoshino. Aki followed him, attempting to return his umbrella, and stumbled upon his meeting with Yoshino, both of them unaware of her presence at the time. The following day, Makabe approached Aki's locker to deliver a letter, but she arrived and questioned his intentions. Despite his attempt to hand her the letter, she crumpled it up and threw it in the trash, openly expressing her disdain for him. She continued to berate him until Yoshino appeared, causing Aki to abruptly run away. Yoshino found Aki alone in a park, angrily stomping on the umbrella Makabe had lent her. Despite Yoshino's efforts to make Aki admit her feelings, she continued to deny them. When Aki finally turned to face Yoshino, she had vanished. Realizing Yoshino was gone, Aki set off to find her. While searching for Yoshino, Aki found herself lost in thought until she heard Makabe shout a warning. Startled, she realized she was in the middle of the road about to be hit by a car. Makabe swiftly pulled her out of harm's way just in time. At the roadside, they shared a serious moment, which was abruptly interrupted when the driver of the car rushed over to apologize. To everyone's surprise, she then thanked God and embraced Makabe, claiming she had been longing to see him. Perplexed, Makabe didn't recognize the mysterious girl, leaving him standing awkwardly in confusion. The girl thanked God for the chance to meet Masamune again, but he didn't recognize her. Her bodyguard named Shidu reminded her that they were running late, so she left. Aki, feeling upset, left the scene. The next day at school, Masamune bought food at the cafeteria and attempted to bring it to Aki as an apology. However, Yoshino attacked him with a gas pistol, claiming that Aki had ordered her to do so. Despite his protestations about not knowing the girl from yesterday, Yoshino walked away, leaving Masamune unable to meet Aki. He ended up leaving the food at the gym storage door as a gesture. Later, a new student named Nico Fujinomiya transferred into his class and introduced herself. Masamune tried to talk to her, but was thwarted by the crowd of girls surrounding her. Finally, he managed to approach her, and the class representative revealed that Nico had transferred to the school just for him. Nico explained to everyone that Masamune had helped her 3 years ago at Christmas. In that moment, Masamune realized that he used to be overweight 3 years ago and could indeed be the boy Nico was referring to. Masamune took her hand and led her out of the class. When he questioned why she had lied about him, Nico confessed that she couldn't reveal the truth because it was embarrassing. She then asked Masamune to tell her about the girl he loved. Masamune brought her to Aki's class. Aki left the class and Masamune chased after her. As he tried to stop her, she accidentally hit a teacher, leading to both of them being punished by cleaning the pool area. During the cleaning, Masamune playfully threw water on Aki to provoke her. In retaliation, she attempted to spill a bucket of water on him but fell into the pool instead. Masamune, thinking she was drowning, jumped in to save her only to realize there wasn't enough water for someone to drown. Confused, Aki asked why he had jumped in, considering his aversion to getting wet. Masamune responded that his actions were motivated by love for her. Moments later, Tai and a few other students arrive, questioning why they are in the pool. Masamune explains that they were cleaning it as a punishment, and they decided to jump in for a bit. Masamune asks Ta why she's there, and she explains that she has swimming practice. Eki leaves, stating that she accepts that he likes her but claims she doesn't care. After the pool incident, Masamune is angry and sits on a bench. Nico finds him and offers him some tea, also explaining the importance of supplements. Masamune believes that exercise and diet are more crucial, but he doesn't mind supplements. He then asks Nico what she likes about him, intending to dismiss shallow answers like your face or everything. Since she barely knows him, he doesn't expect her to say much, preparing to reject her. To his surprise, Nico appreciates his modesty and urges him to be more confident, recognizing his unnoticed charms. She encourages him to embrace his loveliness and then leaves. Masamune is taken aback by her response but realizes he needs to approach Eki's situation differently. Yoshino decided to follow Nico, but lost track of her after a while. Shido, Nico's attendant, caught Yoshino, but Nico appeared and admitted that she recognized her as Eki's attendant. Yoshino dropped her act and questioned Nico's interest in Masamune. Nico claimed that Masamune had saved her in the past, but Yoshino, aware of the lie from Masamune, didn't buy it. Kinyu arrived and inquired about their presence. When Masamune returned home, he found his mother teaching Nico and Yoshino how to make fried shrimp. He was shocked and pulled Yoshino aside to inquire about the situation. Yoshino explained that Kinyu had approached them earlier, recognizing their school uniforms and assuming they were Masamune's fans. Excited about having fans, Kinyu had brought them to her house. Observing Masamune's room with its weights and gym equipment, Yoshino remarked that she didn't even need to ask if he lifted. Nico entered the room and found it perfect for rehabilitation. Masamune hurriedly ushered her out, and Nico revealed that dinner was ready. They all gathered to eat. Chinatsu expressed surprise that Masamune had friends willing to visit his home. Nico was curious about Chinatsu's remark, and she began explaining that Masamune was hiding his old identity. However, Masamune cut her off before she could reveal his previous appearance. As they ate, Masamune removed parts of the meal that were too high in calories. Nico took various pills as supplements. Kinyu grew annoyed that they weren't enjoying the food, but Masamune argued that it had too many calories, while Nico emphasized the importance of nutrients. Chinatsu laughed, pointing out that they sounded like the same person. She then suggested setting off fireworks after dinner. Masamune was initially against it, but Nico and Yoshino agreed. The girls changed into yukatas and headed outside to set off some fireworks. Chinatsu lit some of them, while Yoshino revealed that she wasn't very fond of fireworks, recalling a past experiment where Aki tried to figure out how many rocket fireworks it would take to send someone to the moon, using Yoshino as a guinea pig. Kinyu brought out some watermelons, and Chinatsu suggested a competition to see who could spit the seeds the farthest. Watching Kinyu and Chinatsu participate, Nico laughed. Observing her, Masamune wondered if their relationship might have been different if she hadn't lied. He also contemplated whether his feelings would have been different if he didn't harbor such a strong vendetta against Aki. Later, Shido arrived to pick up Nico. Nico asked if Masamune would escort her home, but he declined, stating that Shido was there for her. After Nico left, Masamune offered to escort Yoshino, but she reminded him that she lived at Aki's house. Considering Aki's potential reaction, Masamune decided to accompany her to the main road where she could catch a taxi. On their way, Yoshino warned Masamune not to fall for Nico. During lunch at school, Masamune used Nico's line, complimenting Aki on her modesty. Aki remained indifferent, stating that she knew her own worth. In Masamune's case, it wasn't about him being too modest, he was simply too much of a moron to realize it. During the summer break, Masamune planned to use the opportunity to get closer to Aki. However, she informed him that she already had plans to spend it at her island villa. Aki invited Kojiro, but he felt embarrassed and said he would come with Masamune. Hearing this, Nico declared she would be going wherever Masamune was going. Ta also expressed her desire to spend the vacation on a beach, prompting Masamune to invite her to the group. He told Aki that she had to either take all of them or spend the vacation alone. Reluctantly, Aki accepted their presence. On the way to Tsunade Island, Yoshino told Masamune that she couldn't find any information to exploit about Nico or any significant connection between her and Masamune. Masamune reassured her, saying his only goal was revenge against Aki. Yoshino warned him to get serious and threatened to reveal everything to Aki if he did make a move during this trip. Meanwhile, Midori Yusaki, after being dumped by a guy, welcomed Aki and her friends to the island. She was surprised to see a boy among them, but was pleased when Masamune claimed to be Aki's boyfriend. Midori admired Aki's choice and complimented her on finding such a handsome boyfriend. Aki, trying to maintain her image, downplayed Masamune's significance and took him away to go swimming. Masamune knew he had taken a risk, but it paid off. Aki cared about her appearance in front of other girls, so she played along with the act, acting like they were a couple. She made it clear to Masamune that this charade would only continue while they were on the island. Later, they all headed to the beach. Aki then took Masamune to a secluded part of the beach, dropping her act and instructing him to fetch her some food. Annoyed but compliant, Masamune went to get food from Midori and asked her about fun activities suitable for high schoolers on the island. Midori suggested a test of courage. Masamune recalled that Aki didn't handle scary things well, giving him the perfect opportunity to save her and impress her. He inquired about the location and left with the food. Unbeknownst to Masamune, Midori harbored resentment. She believed he was too young and naive to earn Aki's love, and she had plans to make him suffer. Midori remembered the time when she started working as a secretary for the Adagaki family. One day, she had seen Aki crying and asking where the boy she used to play with was. Aki had responded that he was gone and wouldn't be returning and ran away. Midori admired Aki's strength and determination when she chose to prioritize her pride over boys. However, Masamune's sudden appearance was disrupting the boy-hating Aki she had come to admire, and she was determined to put an end to it. Masamune led everyone to the location Midori had given him, an abandoned house, for their test of courage. The drawing determined the order: Yoshino, Kojiro, Ta, Aki, Masamune, and Miko. Masamune had rigged the orders so that he could come to Aki's rescue when she froze in fear. Unbeknownst to everyone, Midori was hiding inside, planning to scare Masamune and cause Aki to leave him. However, Yoshino, not aware of Midori's plan, appeared wearing a mask and wielding a chainsaw, chasing the startled Midori. In the chaos, Aki managed to turn on her flashlight, revealing Midori's face and frightening both her and Aki. Masamune rushed in, puzzled by the masked figure, only to find Yoshino behind him. Midori recognized Yoshino and screamed, fleeing the house and frightening Kojiro and Ta in the process. Outside, Midori encountered Nico, who pretended to spill blood and mentioned the possibility of rain. A lightning flash scared Midori, causing her to run away and accidentally knock herself out on a post. When Midori regained consciousness, she found Masamune carrying her. He admitted that he had asked Yoshino for help in scaring people but didn't anticipate Midori getting involved. Masamune confessed that he had staged the test of courage to impress Aki, but ended up involving Midori in the process, apologizing to her. Midori realized that Masamune was a good person and her prejudice had ruined his chances. Masamune pleaded with her not to tell Aki anything, and Midori acted as if she hadn't heard anything, keeping his secret. On the boat ride back, Masamune felt he hadn't made any progress. Yoshino comforted him, reminding him that Aki cared about appearances and wouldn't do things she didn't want to do. She also pointed out that Masamune posing as Aki's boyfriend in front of Midori had probably helped their cause, as Midori wouldn't reveal anything to Aki. Masamune continued his training in his room when he received a call from Aki. Initially wary, he picked up the phone and was surprised to hear her furious voice, scolding him for taking so long. He met up with Yoshino and shared that Aki had called to inform him that one of his bags had been found on Tsunade Island, where he had forgotten it. Aki intended to return it to him personally the next day. Back at home, Masamune planned to work on his homework but realized that Nico had taken his childhood photo. In a cafe, he met Aki, who explained that the family secretary had compelled her to return his bag in person. Masamune couldn't shake off his thoughts about Nico and her intentions regarding the picture. He suspected that she might figure out it was him and Aki in the photo. Lost in his thoughts, he didn't pay much attention to Aki, which only made her angrier. She stormed off, leaving him alone. Shortly after, Nico called him and told him that Tai had invited her to the public swimming pool and asked if he planned to come as well. Curious about what Nico was up to, Masamune suggested meeting. Nico agreed and invited him to her place. At Nico's place, Masamune felt nervous being in a girl's apartment and made up an excuse about being nearby to visit her. He pretended to excuse himself to the toilet but was actually snooping around attempting to retrieve the photo. During his search, he found some manga and Nico caught him holding it. She explained that she had seen the same manga at his place and decided to read it herself. When Masamune asked about the photo, she admitted to taking it because he looked cute, fat or not. She didn't mind his appearance and didn't think it was a bad thing. Recalling his past experiences with fake friendships, told her he knew she didn't genuinely like him. He ended their relationship, stating he wouldn't continue it with someone who wasn't serious. As he left, Nico asked if he had chosen Aki, to which Masamune replied that it was all part of his revenge. Heartbroken, Nico remained in her bed, crying. The following day, the group met up at the swimming pool. Masamune worried it might be awkward to see Nico, but she informed Ta that she wouldn't be coming, claiming she wasn't feeling well, likely due to him. While the group had fun at the pool, Masamune felt troubled and distant. As they were leaving, Shiro approached Masamune, questioning him about what he had done to Nico, who was missing and hadn't taken her seizure medicine. Masamune, surprised by this revelation, wondered why Nico would deceive them, suspecting it was to hide her weakness. Shiro pressed him further, mentioning his visit to Nico's apartment the previous day. Masamune explained that he had rejected her feelings and chose Aki, deciding not to pursue a relationship with Nico. So here the video comes to an end. In this recap, we saw our Sigma Chad, the alpha male protagonist, transform into a simp, another character wasted. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. Like the video and comment down your all-time favorite anime name and share it with others. Also, check out these amazing recaps as well.